Well, hello and welcome, everybody. This is your host, Ken V. Foster. Welcome to another amazing show at Voices of Courage. Today we're going to talk about energy. We're going to talk about your energy, my energy, how we use energy to heal, how we use energy to create everything we have in our lives. And, we kind of take, knowing about energy for granted. We really do. But quite frankly, it's only been 150 years or so since we started to really understand energy and what energy, and everything, of course, is made out of energy, right? The biochemists and the quantum physicists have shown us that our bodies are 99.9999% just air, ether, right? And 1% matter. So everything is energy. But what's happening today is there is a movement today. And it's been going on for a while, but it's now coming more and more mainstream, where we are healing our bodies, healing our minds, healing our emotions, healing everything through energy, through the light work, through the different types of ways to bring energy into our bodies, whether it be through deep Kriya meditations or whether it be through light and sound machines. There's a whole spectrum of ways to heal your body, heal your mind, heal your emotions with energy. Well, today I'm going to be talking to my very special guest all about what's the latest and greatest around energy, but also, so what if you know about energy? Now, who do you find? How do you find somebody that would really be the right match for you? Well, today you're going to find out how to do that. So I'm going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Again, this is your host, Ken V. Foster. Again, we are talking about energy today. In fact, I've named this show "The Courage to Use Energy Medicine to Heal Yourself." Today, I have a brilliant guest, and I'd like to introduce you to her. Jennifer, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Hi, Ken. What a pleasure to be here with you and all of your viewers and listeners. Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you. For those of you that don't know Jennifer, she's an evolutionary leader. She's an entrepreneur, of course, an author, speaker, and TV host. She's hosted popular shows with Deepak Chopra, Dr. Roland McCready, Dr. Dane Hare, and many other leaders from around the world. After selling her first company in 2018, she recently co-founded a new company in the wellness space, omheals.com. That's OM-heals, HEALS.com, so you know what it is. She's also the co-creator of a program with celebrity vocal coach Arthur Samuel Joseph called Vocal Mastery for Leaders. When she's not hosting or speaking, she loves to give back and has built 2 schools in the third world and so much more. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ken. I don't know about you. I get a little shy. When people read my bio, I know you should kind of be like, yes, I got this. But I'm like, okay, I'm a little shy.
I do the same thing many times. I'm like, maybe I need to rethink this bio a little bit. I get a little shy too. So, okay, listen, you've had some pivotal moments in your life. I know you created your first business and sold it, and now you're having this, we're talking about energy today, energy medicine. What was that pivotal moment that you went, okay, I'm going to start doing this business around energy? What was that pivotal moment for you?
I was very lucky, Ken. During COVID, I had just sold my last company, and so I didn't have to deal with all the hassles of running everything. And November 1st of 2019, I'd been given the opportunity all on the same day to co-moderate a panel with Deepak Chopra and Don Hoffman at my old alma mater, UC Irvine. I opened a new company called Metaphysics that does consulting and different things. And then that same week, everything culminated and I started hosting shows with popular thought leaders, much like yourself. And so this then led me to a private retreat by another thought leader named Sister Jenna. I would highly recommend having her on the show. And in that retreat, I was in a Zoom room, and you cannot make this up, Ken. In the Zoom room, it's like, you go into a breakout session. It's right at the peak of COVID, and it's me one of my co-founders, Moon Cho, who I didn't know at the time. We just met in that Zoom room, and Jean Houston. And I had no idea who Jean Houston was. And I remember saying to Jean, what is it you do? And she was speaking of modesty, she says, oh, my dear, I am an author. And little did I know that she was the keynote actually that day. And so Moon, who I mentioned, is the person who inspired me to co-found Home Heals with her, which she is a YouTube influencer with about 300,000 organic YouTube subscribers. So she and I connected, and she said, Jen, you have all this wisdom in matching people for 15 years in recruiting. You built and sold a company there. What if we could match users with practitioners, therapists, holistic practitioners, you name it, Reiki around the world? And I said, well, that sounds interesting. She said, how do you feel about creating a mathematical formula that matches these people together? I said, okay, let's do it. So I brought in my other co-founder, Julian Adler, who helped me build and sell the last company. And for 8 months, Ken, no joke, we went back and forth. And it's 20 simple questions backed by a very, very complicated mathematical formula. And for me, Ken, I was bulimic between the ages of 15 to 25, suicidal. I tried to commit suicide 3 times, like no joke, not messing around, between 18 to 21. And as somebody who struggled with all of that and couldn't find the right therapist until much later in life, one of my dreams is that every person on this planet, Ken, has the right therapist, coach, mentor, or teacher, whatever it is they need. And we've all been there. We've all been on the journey where we get matched with the wrong therapist or we don't have the right mentors. And it feels soul crushing. Sometimes you feel like you can't get out from under the weight of the loneliness that we all experience as human beings. And so that really, for me, was the catalyst, is how do I help? How do I help so that a young 15-year-old boy, girl, they, them, doesn't go through the same struggles that I went through of being sent to these horrible therapists who, no offense to them, they just weren't the right match for me. What if we could solve that problem, not just within our own Heals marketplace, but within a global marketplace so that everyone in the world has the support they need?
Well, I love that a lot. I've been in the coaching business for 26 years, and I know that from time to time, there are clients that come in and they're just totally, I'm very intuitive, so I could feel it really quickly. But like you said, there's always this little letdown for the client. I feel it. I feel that sadness, in them, that it's just not the right match. And not knowing their stories so many times, how many times they've tried that. So this is really an important algorithm that you've created to be able to match people. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe how the algorithm works, how we connect, with each other? Or okay, let's start there. I got a lot of questions.
I know, so many questions. I would, but then I'd have to kill you, Ken. No, I'm just kidding. I'll give you a little taste of it. So
you don't have to give me the whole algorithm. Just text me that in the back end. Yeah, we're good.
Exactly. No, so what we figured out, Ken, and this is what we discovered very early on, is let's say we have Ken, and let's say you're coach, right? And then you have somebody, let's call it Bob. Bob comes along and Bob wants to work with you. Our algorithm, you answer 20 questions, takes a snapshot of your energy in that moment. Now, we've noticed after testing many people, hundreds of people at this point, that people's variability might go up or down a tiny bit, but not too much, typically, unless you test somebody a year out. Somebody might go through an energetic shift, as we were talking about before the show. So what happens is, Ken, if somebody is too much variability from you in one or more categories that we measure, it creates what we call an accidental adversarial relationship. It's that je ne sais quoi, that thing that you can't quite put your finger in, but it creates an energy leak, quite frankly, Ken. I have talked to so many wonderful practitioners, ranging from traditional psychotherapists to holistic therapists to coaches, and it's an energetic drain. If you get matched with a client who's not the right fit, it drains your energy and requires more energy of you to work with that person. And the same thing is true of the user. It feels off-putting. So what happened is we began testing this formula, and we've been able to identify the exact amount of percentage in each one of the categories that we measure that is tolerable for 90% of people. Like all things, there's a bell curve, so there are a few outliers here or there. It's been remarkable, though. Really reverse proving the algorithm was the most astounding thing is of, say, 130 sessions that we had take place over the course of a year in beta phase, about 10, 15, I believe, of those were not a good fit. I have them all written down in all the numbers. Every one of those, say, I think it was 14 that were unhappy, and not just unhappy, like really hated the session. It was beautiful because when I checked the data, every one of them had 10, 20% variability in one or more category, which is intolerable.
Wow. Well, businesses, when I'm coaching businesses, I always telling the CEOs, and this is something that most of them don't realize, which you just said it, I'll say it a different way, that if it's not working for the corporation, it's not working for the individual. Mm. And most of the time, that I'd say 99% of the time, that's true. So if it's not, and the reason I say it is because sometimes they care so much, they don't want to let go of somebody that's really not working for them, or they've been there for longevity. But the truth is, it doesn't work for either one. And what you're saying is now we have an algorithm that we can test this, we can show this, and we can prove this. And I can imagine what this could do for so many people that are hiring. If you're the patient, you want to hire the right, practitioner, or vice versa. We both want to have the right match. So this is really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel so grateful. If it weren't for all of my incredible mentors, I would not have got through the depressive times and the hardship and the anxiety I went through as a young woman. And I only found out later in life that I was on the spectrum, granted high functioning, and it explained a lot of why I went through so much pain and felt so lonely and misunderstood. And yet having resources that, Ken, when I do a lot of talks, you and I are both part of these wonderful groups that, we're out there uplifting and inspiring ourselves and others. And what I say is the only difference between maybe somebody out there listening who's struggling right now, or you or I, Ken, or Deepak Chopra, or any of the famous thought leaders that you and I both know, is the tools in our tool belt. The analogy I use is Batman. Batman, many people know, is a superhero. However, he is not superhuman. What makes Batman a superhero is all of his super tools in his belt. So if he finds himself falling off the proverbial cliff, then he has, a special bat thing that he can push up. That is us as human beings. It's the tools that we have in our belt that equals our resilience energetically in circumstances we find ourselves in life.
I just love this. All right, listen, I'm going to take a quick break. When we get back from the break, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about why energy medicine. Why is that where our focus is, and why is that? We'll take a little deep dive into that. So we'll be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster. We're talking about the courage to use the energy medicine to heal. Nobel Prize-winning biochemist, scientist Albert Gyorky said, in every culture and every medical tradition before ours, healing was accomplished by moving energy. By the way, Jennifer came up with that quote, not me. So let's talk about that, Jen. What, we're talking about energy medicine and using energy. Why energy medicine today? And why did you get involved with it?
Funny story about that, Ken. I would have thought you were crazy if you had told me that energy medicine was a thing. I'll go back to the very first taste of energy medicine that I got. It was 2009. I'd been back and forth to Europe 3 times that year. And the third time I got back was October. And I got deathly ill. Now, I'm going to be frank, Ken. I was in my 20s at the time. I thought it was a 3-day hangover. Turned out it was swine flu. It was not a 3-day hangover. It was swine flu. So I was part of a networking group at the time. And I missed my Wednesday meeting because I was at home with a fever of 104 and nothing I could do about it. And one of the guys who was part of the group said, please, Jen, have somebody take you to my office in acupuncture and I'll give you a treatment. I had never even heard of acupuncture. What is this? And I was afraid of needles when I found out about it, but I had somebody, I was so miserably ill, take me there. And in less than 24 hours from that first acupuncture session, I was back to normal. My fever was gone. I felt amazing. So that really, Ken, was my first foray into it. So fast forward about a year or two later, a dear friend of mine who's a CEO and powerful executive was having trouble with sleeping, and so was I. So she happened to refer me to this woman who had an office next door to mine. And I remember, Ken, I was the worst patient in the world. Later, this therapist said she almost fired me after that because I'm literally on my phone and she's like trying to tap my wrist and trying to balance me to staff. And I'm like, excuse me, I got to answer this call. Excuse me. I'm building a company. And so how she didn't fire me after that first session, I don't quite know. But fast forward, I work with her for a couple of months and I find myself on day one of a vacation. Have you or anybody you know of ever had this happen where it's day one of a vacation and you become miserably ill? It's the worst. It's like a 7-day vacation in Cabo. I come down with flu-like symptoms. I have sweats. I've had a cold. It's all just congealing into this crappy first day of my vacation. And so I emailed this woman named Jeannie and I said, Jeannie, via text, it was actually via text. I said, Jeannie, I don't understand what you do for me when I'm in your office physically. So I'm going to go on a limb here and take a logical leap that maybe you can do whatever it is I don't understand remotely. So fast forward, I go to bed that night and I'm feeling terribly ill and I wake up and I will always remember this, Ken. I look at my phone and I see it. It says 9:05 a.m. And I looked at my partner. I said, oh my God, I feel amazing. What just happened? That moment, Ken, Jeannie texts me, I balanced you to a parasite, fungus, bacteria combination. Drink water and stay away from alcohol and sugar for 2 days and you'll be fine. I was amazing and I was hooked. So fast forward now to present day, when we first launched own-heals.com in late 2021, one of the first ways that we wanted to validate the marketplace was veterans. Veterans are extremely, extremely important to me. My grandfather was a Marine, fought in 2 wars, had a Purple Heart before he passed away. And so for me, veterans have always been so deeply ingrained in my heart. And I said to my business partners, I said, why don't we offer free sessions to veterans? Every session that gets purchased, let's offer a free session to a veteran. And these were all holistic online energy healing sessions. So many of them had never even heard of it. And I was like, what is this? So I'll always remember the call I had with one of these first veterans who did a session named Jim. And he matched really well with a particular therapist named Sada. And Jim called me to not only write feedback, but also give me verbal feedback on the session. And he said, Jen, I want you to know that I've been through 30 years of PTSD training, anger management, and 1 hour with Sada did more for me than 30 years of these other therapies and training. Thank you for changing my life. And the feedback was like that. Every veteran, every normal person we were speaking with who were doing it, we were just getting unprecedented results in one session. And that typically led to people doing multiple follow-up sessions. So for me, I am equally a proponent of Eastern and Western medicine as well as energetic medicine. Though for me, it's about how people figuring out what honors them. All I care about, Ken, is that people find a practitioner who can support them on their healing journey. That's what really matters to me the most.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I've got stories of individuals that have only gone down Eastern medicine and have not healed. And I've gone down stories of people that have only gone down Western medicine and not healed. And they're very prevalent, both sides of that. So it's the combination that seems to work and not necessarily the combination. I think it's being open to both ways because healing is a journey. And what you're talking about is the healing journey. And it's a little different journey for all of us is what my experience has been. You triggered a thought for me of my wife when we were in Phoenix, Arizona, and she came down with an extreme case of dizziness. She was very dizzy. She couldn't stand up. She was just couldn't even hardly move. She was in bed. She was so dizzy, she was getting sick. And we called the practitioner. She did some cranial sacral therapy work. And literally within 20 minutes, she walked up and she was perfect. completely done, right? It's amazing how this works.
It's unreal. One of my dear friends is a very famous thought leader. She's coached 3 U.S. presidents. She was giving a keynote in Mexico. And thank God she knows me. And she texted me and she's like, oh my God, Jen, I'm deathly ill in Mexico. I'm going on stage in an hour. I flew halfway around the world and I feel like I'm dying. I can't even stand up. And so I put 2 of our best on her. I'm like, okay, here's this person. I'm going to have them double team you. And within a half hour, she's up and walking out on stage.
I love it. Listen, we have a lot of coaches, practitioners, energy therapists, energy healers, people of that nature that listen to this show. If they want to get in touch with you to maybe be recognized as one of the practitioners on the om-heals.com, what's their first step?
Great question. So it's very easy. There's a practitioner sign-up form. So you go to om-heals.com. And you can do it one of 2 ways. It's going to take you to the same place. You can go get matched, which is also what users can do to find out who they match with. It's free to see who you match with. And then if you want, you can choose one of your matches to do a session with. And what people do is they go through the get matched process. And then there's a different one that'll say user or practitioner. If you're a practitioner, then you'll get a personalized email from me. And I always love setting up a call and getting to know the practitioners. We really like to see people with at least 2 years or more of experience. There are so many wonderful, talented practitioners out there. I also recommend other great websites that have healers out there, that we do prefer people with a little bit more experience.
Okay, that sounds great. And is there a fee for a client to come in and experience the session? What are the fees run from?
Great question. We have phenomenal therapists, about 100 of them right now from around the world, ranging from Australia, US, Asia, Europe, all over the place, Africa. And their fees really change. And you have a choice. You get to pick whatever fee you want. So if you want fees under 100, we have wonderful therapists in that range, 100 to 200. We have therapists there and over 200. So I would say, I think the cheapest session you could get on the platform is $30. And the most expensive one, if you were to choose one session as opposed to a package, would be $750. So practitioners set their own prices. They all have wonderful, totally different skill sets. And it just depends on what you're looking for as an individual.
Love it. Is there a rating system for the practitioners? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So you can read the ratings and the reviews. And in fact, on the homepage or some of the more recent sessions that have taken place. And we are just so grateful to all of the users who seem to love the practitioners. Like I said, there were about those 14 sessions that were terrible, and it was beautiful. It was a wonderful learning experience. Most of them happened very early on before we had refined the algorithm because we needed more data. And so that helped us to prove out the algorithm even further, that now we know not to match people who have 10% variability.
I love this. So the practitioners themselves get to go through the matching process to see if they're even a match for om-heals.com. Do I get that? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. They do. And the fun thing is that we have community events once a month for all of our practitioners. And we also match practitioners with other practitioners. Like just yesterday, I actually had a call with someone who wanted to join the platform, but she only had like a month or so of experience. And so I said, listen, we're probably not right for you yet. I'm always happy to hop on a call with someone. I said, but what I would recommend is if you're looking for a great teacher, which she was, who can help her heal, probably at least 20 or 30 of the practitioners on the platform are incredible thought leaders, teachers in the profession themselves. Lion Goodman, Karen Francis McCarthy, Shannon Leishner. They're all extraordinary, really talented practitioners.
Wow, I love that. And let's talk about, so when we talk about practitioners, are these Reiki therapists? Are they acupuncturists? Are they coaches? Are they doctors, MDs? Are they naturopaths? Who are these folks?
Yes. No, and yes. So the one that you don't have in the U.S. is MDs. We do have naturopaths and doctors from other countries who are on the platform, like Dr. Jose, who's here in Portugal, is wonderful. We have Dr. Amanda, who's a physiotherapist out of Hawaii. So we have people, but traditional MDs, we're just not set up from a licensing standpoint to do it, though with om.app, om.app, that is our goal, is to eventually roll this out to marketplaces of doctors around the world, marketplaces of therapists around the world, so that it's not just confined to our own Heals marketplace, but that everybody in the world can find the right doctor. So yes, we have all of the above that you listed.
So you can take on naturopaths outside the country, but not naturopaths in the country right now. Is that what I just heard?
Not traditional MDs. So if they're a naturopath, I think that classifies, it's a very fine line. So we have to be very, very careful with who we, thank you all our wonderful legal team out there.
Yeah. So many naturopaths are MDs at the beginning, and then they take further education. And okay, I'm asking that because I have a couple of really beautiful souls that I think would be really appropriate for the site. So okay, wow, this is absolutely brilliant. What's the vision of the company right now? What you're the visionary? Where are we going with this? It seems like it's very disruptive to the wellness space, in my humble estimate.
That is exactly our intention. You're perfectly aligned then with our vision. Our intention is to disrupt the medical and well-being and mental health and wellness space. Right now, in fact, I was interviewed for an article on why we're intending to disrupt the wellness space and how we intend to do it. Nobody has ever tried this before. If you look at any matching platforms out there, no one has done this. So our intention, the big vision, is to continue to collect this information, to refine the data, and that every single person 5 years from now around the world has access to the perfect doctor, therapist, coach, or holistic practitioner for them at the drop of, it takes less than 5 minutes. I mean, you look at a lot of these other things, Myers-Briggs, really complicated things. One, they don't touch you. Two, it's arduous and painful to go through. This is quick and easy, backed by a very complicated formula. And then the long-term goal is to develop AI. Is once we get enough data to gather, and I love data. My brain, again, being on the spectrum and asking, I love logic puzzles. So every morning I love doing logic puzzles. And I see this all as one big logic puzzle. How do we fit the pieces together? This is how I live my life. Ken, just like you and I were talking before the show, I love connecting people. Like my little radar in my head goes, ding, 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 ding. I got to connect Ken to Mark, and I got to connect Ken to Jeannie and this person. And it's just my brain lights up with just seeing the way the pieces of the puzzle all fall together. So I cannot wait.
I'm just laughing with you because, connectors, I'm a connector also. And for a long time, as connectors didn't really know what to connect, right? We'd go to networking events and connect people. And so I love what you're doing, and I found a show. I found my following, right? I can connect people all over the world now to their audience. So it's, I'm just cracking. You're doing a really great job with this. I really love it. It's really, it's well needed in the workspace and well needed in the world right now. A question for you. If you get it wrong, if the algorithm gets it wrong, okay, what then? What happens then?
You learn from the algorithm. Again, the only time so far of the data that we've collected in the last year and a month or so, say, since we've been in beta, there have been, like I said, the 14 sessions that, say the algorithm did get it wrong. Let's say it matched somebody who was 7% variability where 5 is really the ideal. And so then somebody says, it wasn't my favorite. In fact, we had a beautiful situation happen with that in this exact situation. Recently, the algorithm matched somebody accidentally that was 7% instead of 5, which it can be. Some people, if we look at a bell curve, on the outskirts of the bell curve, if somebody's done a lot of personal development work, you might be able to tolerate 7%, but you're just not going to love it. So this is what happened to a user. She saw somebody on a TV show that I was hosting, and she saw this particular healer, and she said, she was one of her matches, but albeit a 7% rather than a 5% match in one of the categories. And so she did the session, and we always check, how was the session, get feedback, write reviews. And she said, Jen, it was good. It was good. I liked it. It was fine. There was this one thing that I didn't get out of it. And for me, Ken, I want 100% satisfaction. Anything I do in life, I want to be sure people are lit up and overjoyed. And so I said to the woman, I said, please, I want you to be 1,000% satisfied. Why don't I match you for free with one of the other people you match with? And that way you can have an experience and see if maybe you get that last little thing clarified for you. Ken, it just took my breath away. When I got the message and the review, I think I'm going to cry because like it was on the homepage of the website. And we get messages like this all the time. She said, that session with this person, Nicole, changed my life forever, changed my life. I will never be the same because of it. And that was one of what we call a more perfect match that was 5% across the board.
Wow. Well, I can hardly wait to see where this goes with AI. And also, I'm waiting for the day we can put my little thumb in a reader, or my index finger in a reader, and it tells the resonance, it tells the energy, vibration of that, of my energy, and it matches with somebody else. Oh, okay, this is it. It seems science fiction today, but that's the future. I see that as the future.
It is incredible. My husband was on a call with somebody today. We're both in tech, obviously, and he was on a call with somebody who was talking about a technology that can tell by the tone of your voice if you're depressed. It could listen to like a voice memo and tell you if you're depressed. So we are not that far away. So that's why our long-term vision is to finesse the algorithm, grow the data set, and eventually turn it into an AI that can help people to very easily and quickly just match people, right? Teachers, podcasts, TV shows, anything around the world, brands. There's so much we can do with it.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Anyway, I was thinking about even Kirlian photography, where we can read people's auras. That's being refined. Other technologies are being refined, and we combine them all together along with algorithms like yours. We'll be able to really get to an insight into where we are as souls and where we need to maybe match with another practitioner that'll really help us. And really up-level our lives, and up-level the evolution of this thing we call the soul here in the Earth experience. Well, listen, I got to thank you so much for being here. And I always have one last question for my guests. And when I ask you this, you got the microphone to the world. We're we mentioned earlier, we're in 185 countries right now. What's your message to the world right now, Jennifer?
If you are struggling today, if maybe today was a hard day, if you woke up and you're like, I can't do it today, you know what? It's a tough one. I don't think I can get myself out of bed. Know that you are not alone, and that, I've been there myself. I've been in the depths of despair and thinking, I can't do it. And the piece of advice that was given to me a long, long time ago, God forbid any of you out there struggling with depression, anxiety, fear of the state of the world right now, do an act of kindness for another. It was one of the best tips that somebody ever told me, having struggled with depression for over 10 years of my life, is that we get so focused on, I can't survive this, it's tough, there's earthquakes, there's war, there's debt, there are all these things happening in the world. And if we can do one small act of kindness for one another, smile at another human being, ask someone how their day is going, maybe buy the person behind you coffee at Starbucks or gas at the gas station. It's those little acts of kindness that not only help one another, help uplift one another in this world that can sometimes be tumultuous and heart-wrenchingly beautiful and painful, but it also helps you, because when we do those small, tiny little acts of kindness for another, it gets us out of our own head and on our way to connecting to the health and wholeness that exists in every one of us. And honestly, Ken, all of these beautiful therapists, doctors, Western, Eastern, holistic practitioners, their only job is to reflect back as a mirror the perfect health and wholeness that exists in each and every one of you. And I'll share a quick story that the Dalai Lama shared with me mentally when I was in my meditation. Deepak Chopra and I, during COVID, decided to do a global meditation with over 100,000 people meditating on March 9th of 2020. And we had all these wonderful thought leaders, and I asked Deepak about it, and Deepak said, great, Jen, I'll ask the Dalai Lama, he's a friend. And so that night, I went into meditation, and I said, your high holiness, while I was meditating, I said, this is Jennifer, and I'm a friend of Deepak's, and he said that he's going to invite you, and we have this thing. And I feel like I heard it, Ken, from my soul and my heart. And the Dalai Lama's voice came in, and he said, please, don't call me your High Holiness. Just, it's not a big deal. I don't need any formalities. I won't be able to join you because of the time that it's at. Though what I want you to consider, Jennifer, is why you're doing this meditation. If you are doing this meditation because you feel that people in the world need to be fixed and that the world or people are broken, you will not be able to make the difference you want to make with this meditation. However, if you can see yourself as whole, complete, and the world as whole and complete, it is from that place that you will be able to make a difference with this global meditation.
Well, you're the reason I do this show. Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was profound. Yeah, I just thank you so much. Hope you come back. I hope you'll be back.
Love that.
So, yeah, we'd really love to have you back. So thank you so much for everything you shared with my listeners today. Really appreciate you and the work you're doing. And acts of kindness, as Jennifer says, acts of kindness, go find a homeless person today and give them $100. That's after you look in their eyes and connect with them and know that, feel it in your own heart that this is the right one to do that with. But acts of kindness change the world. So until next time, I hope you will continue reaching for the stars and look for and seek and see the unseeable, know the unknowable, then you'll be able to do the impossible. All right. Till next time, take care.